play mode.
You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phone. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Friday, 26th day of June, 2020. We got an echo. Give me a second. I'm going to try to figure out. Let's go and fix that.
I don't hear the echo. So it's just something going on over there with you.
Nah,
Just
I
so
know,
you
I know what it is. I'm just trying to fix it.
Okay. Just so you know.
Ha, got it. Okay. Alrighty. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're glad to have you right here, right now. If you can't see the screen I have up, go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. Now, when you join that way, you also get access to the chat box so that you can participate in the discussion. And you get an email right before the show with a link so that you can join with one-click access. Now, that's going to change coming here the next couple of weeks. You're going to, well, you'll probably still do that if you're in the office at your desk. But if you're away from your desk, instead of the next part I'm about to explain, you'll be able to just open your CFRN app. That's right. We had an app years ago when apps were first all the craze, but the science hadn't really caught up with the concept and idea unless you were a mega conglomerate and could afford a lot of developers and whatnot. The technology, you know, it gets simpler over time, and Valerie and I are working on an app right now. And one of the things that you'll be able to do with the app, of course, is to watch the show live each day. In the meantime, if you're away from the office, away from the desktop, point any internet connected browser to cfrn.net/live. There you'll find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. Now, we also stream live during the show each day on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Let me give you, or let's open with a word of prayer. That's what we're going to do. Stand by, I'm still resetting this thing. Stand by, guys. I gotta fix this thing once and for all. Father, we come before you today and thank you for your mercy, for your grace, for your blessings in our life. And we come today, Lord, to pray for our country. Lots happened this year. 2020 is a year, Lord, that those of us who lived through it will never forget it. We ask, God, that you would bless our country, that you would bless our president. Lord, he's faced an uphill battle this entire 4-year term. I still believe he's done incredible things for this country and for our people. I can only imagine what it would have been like if everyone supported his efforts and didn't fight him. But God, in your infinite wisdom, you put him in the Oval Office. And Lord, we pray that you find favor with him, guide him, give him the wisdom that he needs. We also want to pray, God, for our Congress. Give them the knowledge and the understanding that they need to protect the sanctity of life, from the unborn child to the elderly. And Lord, just please bless all the people, not only in our country, but around the world, all of those who know you as the living God. Help us, each one, to be aware of our responsibilities as citizens, to uphold the principles of life, liberty, justice, and equality. We pray, God, that your Holy Spirit be sent upon our country. Help us to become people of faith in times of uncertainty. Make us people of hope in times of trouble. Make us people of compassion with those who are less fortunate. Make us people of peace in our homes, our communities, our country, and our world. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, let me give you these numbers from around the world. Cash markets, indices. Today's the rebalancing of the Russell. I'll go over that in more detail later in the show. But you hear me talk all the time about the S&P 500. Companies get weak, they get sent to the sidelines, and they're replaced with a fresh, strong bull. Well, it's happening in a big way on the Russell today, and I'll go over that later. Currently, the Dow down 596 points. That's over 2%. NASDAQ down 176. That's almost 2%. S&P 500 down 57, almost 2%. And the Russell 2000 down almost 2%, 24 points. In the commodity basket, crude oil is down 81 cents, trading 37.91 last. That's a drop of over 2%. Gold is up $8.90, trading 1779.50 last. And during today's show, I'm going to talk a little bit about my favorite little gold mine. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a gain, 252 points. That's a little over 1%. Shanghai added 9 points. The Hang Seng dropped 231 points. That's almost 1%. In European markets at the close, the FTSE was up 12. The DAX was down 88. The CAC was down 9. That gives us a mixed day in Asia, a mixed day in the UK. And so far, it's a big red Radio Friday here in the US of A. In fact, the only green on my screen for the US markets is the VIX, which is up 8% on the day. And with that, I'll pass it to you, Michael. Michael will give us a recap of everything that happened in the live training room today. After that, I'll be back. We'll cover the logic alerts, the concierge alerts. We're going to talk to John today. I spoke with him earlier this morning. He's going to pop in. And next week, guys, is going to be a big week all week because we are celebrating week 100 of Logic 247. All right, Michael, I got your charts up. You are locked and loaded.
Okay, I'm waiting for him to update right here.
Okay.
Right. So the retracement didn't go back as far as I thought it was gonna. Well, actually, I said it was gonna go to 30.30, and it did. I'll get into that in just a minute. Let me get my spreadsheet up and do everything like we normally do. Here we go. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 26th day of June, 2020. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. Scroll down to where it says free 5-day trial. Click on that, and it'll bring you to this page, EminiTrainingschool.com. On this page, all you need to do is give us your name, your email, your phone number, and no, we're not going to ring your phone. We're not going to ring your phone off the hook. We're not telemarketers. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and be sent a confirmation link. You have to click on that link if you're taking a free trial. No, Dwayne. No, I just looked a few minutes ago, and no. Okay. So, the spreadsheet. Okay, here on the spreadsheet, we are the 26th day of June, 2020, as I said. And if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we made 8 ticks in the euro, 11 ticks in crude, 5 ticks in gold, and 4 ticks on the ES. That put us at plus 260 on the morning session. And today it took 15 minutes in one trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're at $100 a contract. And we took a total of 7 trades. So on the month now, we're at $6,467 per contract. That's over 20 trading days, and we're averaging $323 per day per contract per 2-hour day. Last month, we were $304. So we're doing a little better this month than last month. And we still have time left in this month. We still have Monday and Tuesday next week, and Sunday night. But for the training room, we have Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so on the year now, we're at $42,882. That's over 117 days, averaging $366 per contract per day. Okay, let's go through the trades now. This just looks rough right here during the break. I mean, there were trade setups in there, and I'll go over that after I do what happened this morning. Okay, on gold, we had just a couple of trades. There was a short right here that I missed that I was really sorry about missing. Then we had a long right here that we had to break even on. And there was a short right in here. Excuse me, a long right there that we missed, and short right here. A long, a short, and right over here, we had another long trade, and that's where we picked up 5 ticks. Man, I'm freezing right now. There was another really nice long trade, so we missed a couple of really good trades. This one right here, and this one back here. Now, keep in mind that all you want to do is get your goal for the day. Okay? And at this point, we'd already had our goal for the day. But it started to get really choppy. And if you look at the slingshot down here, it's flopping all around and not really giving you any trade setups. If you look at the YBR, that's a whole different story. Here we have red on the YBR with the down close, bearish separation. Red on the cycle. That was a nice short trade from the YBR perspective. Here was another one right here. And then it changed directions. Doing the trade setups that we do in the room in the morning. There was a long trade right here for that move up. A long trade right here for that move up. And then this is all during the break. Okay, during the break, we had a huge move up right here during the break. And usually, after you get a huge move up like that, you're going to have a consolidation. Okay, and that's exactly what happened. Consolidated. It's still consolidating. On the euro, And let's see on the euro. We just had this, well, I mean, there was a shorting opportunity right there and another one right there, but we picked up 8 ticks on this one. And it's been a miss all day. On crude oil, yeah, crude is where we got the goal for the day this morning. Right here, our first trade. We picked up 10 ticks on that trade right there. Okay, and then again, we had a big move, consolidated. Not as big of a move, but we had a shorting opportunity right in there. And come on, charts. All right, we picked up 1 tick right here, but we had to bounce off the BBC right in here to grab a little bit of profit there. And we had to bounce off the BBC right over here for that leg down. Now this is during the break, so it wasn't in the room in the morning. We ended up with plus 11 on crude this morning. The ES. Okay, the ES may take me a little bit to go over because it's been all over the map today. Now we were able to really take a look at the ES. I mean, I'm going to do this. Hold on. We were able to take a look at the ES, and and I thought 3005 was going to be where it got down to, and then once it got down to 3005, I thought it was going to retrace up to 3030. All of which it did do, and I told everybody ahead of time. And Dwayne and I were well, the number that it was going to retrace to is what we didn't agree on, but I think it satisfied everything that we were talking about. But there was so much movement on the ES today, and and I was fussing at myself at the end of the session because, well, I only had a couple of trades that I took on the ES, but I had got my goal for the day. And for me, on a Friday, if you get your goal for the day, you put the mouse away and you don't even look back. Okay, because I hate going into the weekend on a losing day or on a down day. And I mean, right now, I'm on a 4-month roll. I'm knocking on wood. I'm on a 4-month roll without a down day. But let's just look at what did happen on the ES. Now, the first trade setup was right here at 933. That, for me, if I had taken it, would have been a break-even trade. Now, let's look at the YBR as well. See, we have red on the YBR with a down close and bearish separation. So that was a shorting opportunity right in there. Let's continue with that. Red on the YBR with a down close, bearish separation. And down it went. Okay. Now, as far as trades that we do in the room in the morning go, there was one right here. And you see how the cycle in the slingshot is just flinging all over the place. The market activity today was just crazy on the ES. And Dwayne will explain to you once I'm done how the Russell is having an effect on everything right now. But right here, there was a bounce off the BBC for a long trade that I missed. Then, right now I'm just looking for a trend right in here. And it keeps going back and forth and back and forth. So you're not really getting a trend. But let's see. You get over here, or here, or here. You know, down here, I'm just looking at the slingshot. And, you know, that came up last night and this morning. What do you look at first? And I look at the slingshot and then look up at the top and see if if you actually have a trade set up there. Okay. And so like right here, I would look at the slingshot, then I look at the top, and you know, you have a blue on the YBR, bullish separation with an up close. So you could have taken something out of that. Now, again, I'm going to say, you only want to get the goal for the day. Once you get the goal for the day, what do you do with the mouse? You put it away. Okay, so we started trending over here, and right there was a shorting opportunity. And I'm still looking for another one. Another one. And another one. Yeah, right here was a long opportunity for that leg up. And that would have been a close above this trend line. Now, I don't have all my trend lines drawn everywhere. I'm sorry. Okay, there.
You didn't call me yet, right?
Not yet. Not yet, Dwayne.
All right, take your time.
No, the ES, I said in the morning session, when I do the recap of the ES, it's going to take a while because there's so much. There was a long trade right here that was valid, a short trade right here, followed up by a short trade right here, and there, and there, and there. Now, all this was moving around really fast. So, you know, if you got into the first one, you could have just stuck it out, trail your stop behind black step line or the MA1, whichever you want, and, you know, stayed in that trade for a long time. Then we got violently sideways right here. Violently. Over here, we finally took a trade, and we got to break even on that. And let's see, in here, we had a shorting opportunity there, shorting opportunity there. Then back to sideways. Then we flipped around and started going up. Now, I had said look for 30.30 this morning. Well, first, I said look for it to drop down to 30.05. And then I said look for 30.30. And so it's done pretty much all of that. And I think we're going to end today down. But, you know, toward the end of the session, I was literally fussing with myself because I hadn't taken any profit on the ES and we had so much opportunity. But there was a nice short right here that I missed. And then I finally took a long and I picked up 4 ticks on it right there. And hang on, my charts just froze up. Here we go. Then it got really choppy. And this is all during the break right now. I'm just not seeing it. Well, we dropped all the way down to 3,003. And I think it's going to go back down there. Now, let me look at this on the big picture here for you. Okay, this is your big picture. And by the end of the day, I suspect that we're going to be down to 3,000. You know, if you go back here, Let's not do it on the 30-minute. Let's do it on the daily. If you go back here, right here, 29.96, 97, that area, there's buying pressure, but I think it's going to go back down there. And then Sunday night, I suspect, we should be climbing Sunday night. Okay, but you have to wait and see. I mean, what I say in the room, what I say in the room is just trade what's in front of you. Trade what's in front of you. The indicators do all the math for you, and they indicate where the market is most likely to go. So just trade what's in front of you. All right. Okay. And let me jump back over here. All right. So if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 26th day of June, 2020. You made 8 ticks in the euro, 11 in crude, 5 in gold, and 4 on the ES. Put us at plus 260 this morning, and today it took 15 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract. And on the month, now we're at $6,467 a contract. That's over 20 days, averaging $323 per contract per 2-hour day. On the year, we're at $42,882. That's over 117 days, averaging $366 per contract per trading day, 2-hour trading day. Now, if you have not taken the free trial, go to the home page at CFRN.net, and right here it says free 5-day trial, no credit card required. Click on that, and you'll be brought to this page, EminiTradingSchool.com. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. And you can throw in here your biggest trading challenge, so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. And we really do the one-on-one training. I have meetings scheduled all afternoon. Hit the send button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay, once you hit that confirmation link, then we know that you took the free trial, and we will be able to respond to you. Okay, there. Now, Dwayne.
Alrighty, recap of the recap.
Today, 15 minutes, 1 trade, $100 a contract.
Good job. All right, guys, next week, big week, as I mentioned, next week's week 100 of Logic 247. Yesterday at this time, we had 97 total alerts. 6 had been stopped out. We had 73 actionable. Today, 114 alerts total for the week. I think this might be the busiest weekend. 86 actionable alerts. 9 of those have been stopped out so far. That's 10% of actionable alerts. That's based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade. Now, that's not a typical number. The typical number is about 20% is what we've averaged over the last 99 weeks. Okay, we'll be back at it again Sunday night. The channel opens at 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, if you're the type of trader who has a goal that you attempt to reach on a daily basis, whether it's the 2 points that we talk about a lot, or 3 points, or whatever it might be. So I want you to view this. 86 actionable alerts, of which I stopped out based on what I just said. Now, if you take that many alerts and divide it by 5, you get an average over this busy week of 17 alerts a day. Do you think that potentially you might be able to find those 2 points or your goal in that many unique opportunities in the market? Now, this covers the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ, crude, and gold. We even had a couple copper trades this week. So that's a question that only, of course, you can answer. But we don't stop there. The whole purpose of the live training room in the morning is to teach you our underlying methodology and strategy, so that the day will come when you don't need these alerts. Because you see them yourself. Because I teach you how to see them. And Michael teaches you how to spot the setup on the range chart every day for 2 hours, trade after trade, day after day, week after week. Rinse and repeat. Okay, let's go to the charts. Take a look at the daily. First, we'll take a look at the weekly. Okay, we talked about this weekly setup earlier in the week, possibly even last week. Very different from the daily chart. Here's the all-time historic high, and you'll see it again in just a moment on the daily chart. Here's the pandemic low. You'll see that as well. And then the recovery. Okay. Now, on the weekly, we had a close above the VBC, then a close below the VBC, then a close above, and then we had a candle that opened and closed above. So it's on like a Donkey Kong for this week, as this week takes out the high of this week. Now, this area where we would anticipate resistance, there was a fight during the week. And you can see that these two candles here are still dealing with the impact of the bearish cross on the weekly chart. Potentially good resistance. If price can get above it, stay above it, hold it on a pullback, then it becomes good support. Okay. Now, let's go to the daily. We talked this morning in the pre-market strategy session about the absolute importance of yesterday's swing low, which was 3,005. Clear to see here on the daily chart. Today's low, 3,003. Took it out by 2 points. Now we'll go to a smaller time frame. When you're looking at a big picture dynamic such as this. Now, overhead, we had red and falling. That's bearish. If I do reverse fibs, like I did yesterday, from the swing high to the retracement low, it's been all about the 62% reverse fib right here. See it across there? See all those little wicks poking up through it? So we had red and falling. We had the 62% reverse fib. And if I do this, shrink this up a moment. If I take this tool, the Fibonacci price extension tool, which forecasts into the future based purely on math, nothing else, and it's nothing new. This is from the 14th century, old math. Also overhead, right above these swing highs, where we had the 62% reverse fib, and where we have red and falling, just right there, the 24% Fibonacci price extension. So a lot of things heavy weighing on the market. Today's the rebalancing of the Russell. I'll talk about that a little later in the show, possibly even while John's on. So again, it's all about taking out this low, this swing low from yesterday. Now, we've touched 3,003 and bounced. Okay, we bounced, and that's what you would expect. When I show it to you on the 30-minute, in fact, let me just show you on the 30-minute right now so you'll have the context. See, from here, we bounced back up to the weekly trading zone. My thoughts this morning in the pre-market strategy session and the live training room, that is the bounce provided by this, should not exceed this weekly trading zone at 3030/31. And that's where we bounced to. The swing high of the bounce was 27.75. 27.75 on this candle, and 27.75 on that candle. Okay, now that sent us back down to this area that I highlighted this morning in the alerts as potential support. Okay, this low, we caught a bounce off of it, and then this low, okay, that's the low of yesterday. As you can see, we barely got below it, and then we caught big bounce, right? So we tested the area. We bounced all the way from 3,003 back up to 3013, right? It's the line I drew this morning. Okay, we just bounced back up to that. So it's acting as good resistance. That's what we would anticipate. Now it becomes taking out this low that was just put in the previous 30-minute candle. We take that out. That opens the door to move down to the next weekly trading zone, which is 29.95/96. So back to the daily. If we close today below the low of yesterday, I'm talking about the close this afternoon, close of business, then Sunday night on the Globex Open, my thoughts are that we'll continue lower to test the swing low of this candle right here, which has a low of 29.2375. So if we close around 29.92 or 29.90, then it's about a roughly 60-point drop from where we close today, based on where we close, to this swing low. Now, Sunday night on the Globex Open, if we take out this swing low, in the absence of any good news over the weekend that might potentially buoy the markets, the president speaking, or the COVID team from the White House are supposed to be speaking at 12:30 today. I don't know if they've already started, but any news coming out of that could potentially move the markets. Now, again, we got to close below that low. That opens the door for us to head to this low Sunday night. We take out that low. Now we're looking at the 38% Fibonacci retracement of the entire move. Wrong tool. Let's try this tool. From the pandemic low to the recovery swing high. Okay, so we've already been down on this trip down to the BBC. We spiked it and touched the 24% fib. It sent us back to resistance. So now it all hinges on closing below this low from yesterday, the swing low from yesterday, challenging this swing low right here. Then there's not much in the way except this one little tail right there. See that? About 28.96. Okay, and that's 100 points below the weekly trading zone that we're above right now at 95/96. All right, so if we take out this low and the next, and we take out that swing low right there, then the next logical spot, and yes, I said logical, is this 38% fib, which runs right through the lower portion of all this consolidation that we had at the BBC. That was John that just rang my phone, so we're going to pause the recap here. We'll talk with John, and when we're finished, then we'll do a complete recap of the Concierge Trade Alerts, also Logic 247. And while John's talking, I'll put the CTAs up on the screen in case you want to grab a screenshot. Here we go. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks very much. Sorry I missed you the last couple of days.
I'm just glad you're doing okay.
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot going on today, and it's pretty critical because, let me give you a kind of overview. This week really kind of reminds me of the week of February the 20th when the market topped out the first time.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we had a kind of a mania start to the week where, we had that big rally. I think it was Tuesday, and the market looked like it wasn't going to stop going up. And then around a little after noon, around about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, we started turning down. And it kind of reminded me of what happened actually at 10 o'clock at night. I think it was February the 20th, which was the top. In other words, we kind of made the top at 10 o'clock in the night and went down, and that was the beginning of the end. And this time it happened during the day, so it sort of happened around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we sort of sold off after that.
Which day are you talking about, John? You're talking about the 20th right here?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, you know, we've had here we are. You had the equivalent of that was you know, a week or so ago. But in the Nasdaq, I think the Nasdaq made a new high this week, right?
The NQ put in a new all-time historic high. Yeah, I'll bring
Right.
up a
So there was
chart
some divergence there, and so and it also made a kind of an intraday head and shoulders top that's fairly visible, actually. You probably see it in a second. Yeah. So we had that very strong day. It was kind of a doji day. See that?
Yeah.
That was the top. And really, we've been kind of eroding ever since then. You know, we had a little bit of a reprieve yesterday because it's not going to give up the highs too easily. Remember, saying the last time. But what's troubling about this is that we are setting up for unless we have a rebound this afternoon, which, you know, you could never rule out. We're setting up for a possible gap down this weekend, which would be very bad. If we have a gap down and we don't fill the gap and we go lower on Monday, it sets us up for a potential serious sell-off, possibly. And then, look, if this thing really turns into a rout, I wouldn't rule out another 3,000 point down day, you know, between now and wherever we end up reversing. And
That's in the Dow, guys, which is equivalent to a 300-point move in the S&P.
Right. So, and it'd be about a 700 or 800 point move on the Nasdaq. Some it might even be 1,000 point news on the Nasdaq. You couldn't rule it out. The Nasdaq may be a bigger casualty this time, just because it's just gone so crazy to the upside. Now, you know, remember, you've got the Fed at the back. You've got Mnuchin, who's fighting corrections all the time. So could they limit the damage? Yes, they could. Maybe we go down to 9,500 on the Nasdaq, and then go back up. It's, you know, you just have to take it day by day. But the problem, you know, this the troubling thing is I mean, when we sold off the first time, there was almost no deaths and a negligible number of cases compared to where we are today. You know, we were in the
They say Phoenix right now is worse, or Arizona. They say Arizona is worse than New York ever was, even worse than Brazil. But yet,
well,
I don't know one person here in town, by the grace of God, not family, not friend, not fellow church member, who has actually contracted the virus.
Yeah.
But yet,
well, they say it's a 1 in
worst
4,000. It's sort of 1 in 4 or 5,000 kind of thing. But the problem is, you remember we talked about this doctor, you know, smartest doctor in the U.S. He sort of predicted 60 to 80 million. It's very possible that many people have been infected, and the CDC is starting to up the numbers to that respect. But we know for sure, according to what we heard a while ago, that 1/5 of all New Yorkers were infected. So that's potentially 60 to 80 million, you know, for the whole population. You know, that's a pretty troubling looking chart there that you just pulled up.
This is the Dow. Yep. If we take
it
out
definitely looks
this,
like we got a down leg to about 23, 22.
If we take out this swing low right here, we need to close below yesterday's low. Then Sunday night, we move lower, we challenge this swing low. And if we take out that swing low, then that puts us right here at this area where we consolidated for weeks. And that is a 38% Fibonacci retracement on the daily chart.
Yeah, and another thing is, look, you can see a clear three-way rally there. You know, look at it, ABC, it's a very clear B wave. And the C wave is likely to be devastating, and it could be even more devastating than the first wave. Remember that. So we're only in the opening. We're only in the early stages of this. We haven't seen anything like panic yet.
No.
You've got all these the high flyers like Zoom and ZI and ZS. They're starting to come apart. You know, Adobe looks like it's topped.
And Russell is being rebalanced today.
Yeah, the big problem, one of the reasons why the market's actually going down today is because of the banks. You know, they had this
the
stress
Volcker,
test yesterday.
well, right, they had the stress test, and then also they rolled back some of the regulations on the Volcker rule, which was actually
that was kind of a
bullish
positive.
yesterday
That was kind of a
afternoon.
positive.
Yeah, banks ran yesterday on that news.
Yeah. So, you know, if the banks start giving it up, then that's bad news. So, and then you've got the earnings coming, and probably a lot of disappointments. You know, you had the Nike. I haven't looked at Nike today, but Nike is probably you know, a potential casualty.
This one, Nike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it sort of
big
came
down
out
day.
with bad earnings.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and then you had the income was down, the sales were up, but the income was down. I think the sales are up in a bad market, so it doesn't really, you know, account for much.
Look at the earnings on Nike. Surprise to
Yeah.
the downside.
Yeah,
60
yeah,
cents.
It's a pretty cool thing to be able to pull that up right there on the chart.
Yeah, this
That's neat.
platform, I just waiting for them to get the software finished so that we can broadcast live using their charts.
Yeah. You know, all these
For the
charting
stocks,
services.
we'll always use Daniels for the futures.
Yeah, they're getting better and better. If you like to put our little high flyer up, we started talking about INO when it was $3, and possibly even lower. I think we mentioned that Stephen A. Cohen, who's about the richest guy on Wall Street, funded this thing at about $2 a while back, sometime in 2019. And it's been gradually going higher. It's got a phenomenal base. I think it's only just getting going. It absolutely exploded here in the last few days because they got $71 million from the Defense Department. I did mention that a few days ago about to prepare for, you know, billions of vaccines. I've always thought they're a contender. You know, they're certainly one of the top 10 contenders, maybe the top 5. And as a top 5 contender, they're probably going to go to north of $50, maybe $70, somewhere like that. If they become the contender, in other words, they become the chosen one, and I believe there's a reasonable good chance of that happening, you're looking at a multi-$100 stock here. And if you go back in time, you'll see that it was a $500 stock in the past. So I'm not recommending the stock. You can do your own due diligence on that.
Which one was a $500 stock?
This one, if you go back and, you know, they probably split a few times. But they came back to fight another day, and that's the impressive part.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah.
These types of recoveries, guys, once you fall that far, I mean, practically to zero.
Yeah.
It's this kind of a
So,
recovery.
you know, it's a, you know,
unfortunately, it's running into this
call
resistance
it a
right
potential,
now.
you know, could it go all the way back to the highs? Stranger things have happened. You know, a lot of stocks, including Apple, and, you know, a long time ago, came back and took out their 2000 highs, and Amazon and everyone else. So, you know, you can't rule out anything. This is a global pandemic of monumental proportions, and anybody who becomes a contender in a vaccine, if they become the anointed one, I mean, you can't even imagine. This stock could go to $1,000.
Yeah, you could go out. You could literally go out and start a company right now. I don't care what you do. Just slap the name COVID or vaccine or something to do with this crisis. And I mean, back in 98, 99, all you had to do was start a company that had net in it, or anything to do, something, anything.com, and boom, off to the races. Well, we all know how that ended, not well.
Put OBCI, if you can, please.
OBCI?
Yeah. Ocean
Biochemical, okay.
Okay, we actually talked about this when it was about $5. This has it's actually a good little company. It's making money. It's got a pretty good revenue and earnings profile, and I think it missed a little bit just where it had that down month, right, or week, or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, I got this on monthly
And,
still. Let me break it back to it.
Yeah. But it has been making new 52-week
There we
highs,
go.
and it's got a phenomenal base on it. And this is one of the, I actually tried to get a hold of the chairman, because when it was at $5, I had an idea that could easily double the stock, and he didn't listen to me. But they've got the debt, they've got some debt, and I the smartest thing they could ever do now, which nobody ever thinks of, is to get rid of that debt. I mean, if they just did an issue right now and get rid of that debt, I think the stock could go double right away. They're certainly doing okay. I'm not going to criticize them, but they have, one of the reasons why this is going well is they do have some kind of a virus-side anti. They do mostly stuff for yachts. Different products for yacht care and things like that. But they do have this cleaning thing that apparently they're starting to sell to a lot of hospitals.
Does it get the barnacles off the bottom?
No. This is actually a disinfectant. It kills.
Gotcha.
Supposedly kills the COVID. So it's obviously
okay.
a pretty big deal. So a few other stocks. There's NNVC.
There we go.
This one, as you can see from the red sell-offs, it's a bit of a hypester. This one keeps coming up with stuff, and it gets clocked, and it's getting clocked again today. So I would be very careful about this stock being the real deal. Another one is VXRT.
There we go. Oh, look at that.
Another sort of, and then there's Meso, MESO.
This thing, it closed yesterday $6. What did it close at? 6 1/4.
I kind of had that picked ahead of time.
Put in a high today at 14:30. Guys, you have to really be very careful with these types, because when we come back and look at this thing Monday, there's a high probability, that this gap's going to be filled. And unfortunately, what happens is when these types of things happen, you got all these people getting long here, getting scared here, and then the sellers come in, clean their clock, take it down, and so now they're on like the second wave of possibly emails, and who knows? I don't know anything about this company. I just know how this thing works, and so they're sending out more emails and trying to get them to hold it up, hit the bid, all that stuff. Just be careful. That's all I can say. Just be careful with these explosive. I mean, if it seems to be too good to be true, this was a $5 stock yesterday. Today it was almost a $15 stock. They did not come up with the cure for cancer overnight. I mean, or whatever it is they do. So it doesn't mean that as a momentum trader that you can't take advantage of these explosive situations. You just have to make sure you're not the last person to the party. Okay? Because when the music stops, you won't find a chair.
Yeah. If you could put, excuse me, MESO.
Mesoblast. Does this have anything to do with mesothelioma?
No, it's they're a stem cell company in Australia that supposedly has had some good results with treating the COVID, similar or possibly better than the remdesivir, but it's obviously.
I haven't heard much about that lately. Is that still an accepted method of treatment?
Well, have a look at GILD and you'll see it's not performing very well.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think, look, it could still be the chosen one. I think is, if it turned up from here, it would be quite bullish. The other one, maybe look at Lilly. Lilly's acting really well. I think Lilly's a potential major contender. Sorry, LLY.
Oh,
LLY.
There we go. Makers of the Dixie Cup.
Yeah, it's really acting great considering, and that gap, that's a massive gap for a pharmaceutical company.
That's huge. 140
so the odds of this thing going higher is very, very high indeed.
Yeah, I mean, guys, this is a real company. This company's probably been around 100 years.
Yeah, it's got about $100 billion market cap.
Yeah,
So it's.
I mean, this is huge. This is not a pump and dump. This isn't a one-trick pony.
I think
This is a real
if you remember, I called this one, on air. I actually called it the day it was made the low there, the doji. And to my surprise, it opened up about $17 and it went up to about 26 that day. A good guidance of this, and we picked this one well as well, IMMU, if you remember.
I remember the name.
And by the way, the reason that thing went up is not because of COVID, right? Even though they got a COVID thing.
Are you talking about MU or talking about Lily?
They've actually got a therapy for the COVID.
Are you talking about Lily?
No, just go back. Yeah, just don't bother going back to Lily. But the reason why it went up is because of breast cancer treatment. Gotcha. And if you remember, IMMU also went up on a breast cancer treatment. So look at IMMU, that first gap, to get a sense of where Lily could go, because I believe that it could go similarly to IMMU.
This thing gapped. Now here's one that gapped from $10 up to almost $20.
Right.
But apparently there's actually something under the hood, because it not only held here for looks like about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then it gapped again. So there's some real strength in this.
And I told you back then when it was in around 20, I said this Stephen A. Cohen bought in at 20, and that's pretty unusual for a guy, for him to buy in at that kind of, after a big move like that.
It's already taken out the area by quite a bit that would have potentially been resistance.
Yeah,
right
what a perfect, very.
Yeah, nice.
So another one to XLRN. It's another stock that's been acting really well. Didn't get hurt by the downturn.
Okay.
It's we pointed that one out a while back. When you get these big gaps,
it's like a nice buying dip here potentially.
Yeah. So look, we're getting a bit of a rebound here in the market. There's a conference. Oh, they're having a conference call right now.
Is the health thing going on right now? Because I have a schedule for 12:30.
So the market may be getting a bit of a lift. Maybe getting a bit of lift off that. Yeah. Going back to the virus, look, it's worth reminding everybody here that the swine flu.
Mm-hmm.
The first 6 months, it was about 10 million infections. And then the second 6 months, it went to 100 million. So it's like it went parabolic. And there's a reasonable chance that could happen with the COVID, given what's going on with the U.S. and the rest of the world. We're making new highs in infections around the world, and we're making new highs in the U.S., which is very troubling. But especially with all the ridiculous things that have been going on recently, this is why this weekend is fairly critical, because in the same way as if you remember, the gap down on the Sunday night of February 23, remember we topped out on the 20th, February 23, that was the afternoon we put out a tweet saying, we expect the market to crash thousands of points. And on this show, we had talked already about the market having a 3,000 point down day. There's some similarities this weekend coming up, because here we are making new highs. What was the clincher that Sunday afternoon caused the market to start tanking? Was it was the first shutdown in Italy, the first major, all those villages that got shut down, and that was the beginning of panic. And that caused the huge sell-off. So if we come in on Monday morning, and we're way up in the infections, and remember it's a couple of weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks since all this demonstrations and everything happened. So a lot of these people could start coming down en masse. A pretty good chance the market's gonna sell off next week. If that happens. Now, the market may ignore it as well. We just have to wait and see. I think you just got to play it day by day, because we're still in a very strong market in spite of it all. The other thing is the metals are acting really, really well.
Okay, I'll bring those up.
gold and silver actually look to me like they're about to take off. You've got the 4 precious metals all up today, quite substantially after being down, by the way. And as you know, I believe we're going to have a buying stampede all the way to 2,700 from here. This may be the beginning of it right here. So there's another thing worth looking at today, which is coffee.
All right, guys, we're approaching the CTA on gold, 1784. So keep your eye on that.
What's your CTA? Well, that's your trend thing, right?
Two different alert services. One of them is the Concierge Trade Alerts, and the long signal is 3084. I'm sorry, it's
so this is where you get a buy stop to buy, right?
1484. Yeah, enter on a stop.
Okay.
The short side of it last night was to be short 1770, which for all of you that participated in that, this bell's for you.
Yeah, but the gold to be able to turn as well as it did today is really, actually, it's extremely strong. It's very powerful, and we've been expecting. You know, I was thinking that this end of this week was going to be a strong finish for the gold, and you know, for many weeks the gold has opened higher on Sunday night. It doesn't always stay up on Sunday night, but it has tended to open higher before they pull it back. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it back this coming Sunday. It might be a different story.
Here's an interesting tidbit. Going back almost like forever, if you buy the S&P 2 days ahead of the 4th of July and exit on the 5th, that seasonal trade has been profitable 95% of the time.
Say that again?
Entering the S&P long 2 days before the 4th of July, July 2nd, exiting the day after the holiday, has been profitable. It's been a profitable trade 95% of the time. We're not seeing
I tell you, the 5%
it
didn't work was 2008, I think.
I'm sorry?
I think the time it didn't work was 2008 because we had a really bad sell-off going into July the 4th, I think. But the one of those years, it was either 08 or it was 08. So the I remember that distinctly. But you're right. You know, look, going into July, that's another reason why this market might hold up. You know, because going into a holiday. Now, sometimes, not necessarily this time, but you know, they tend to knock the gold down over July the 4th holiday. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you can take a look at do you want to look at the silver as well, Dwayne?
Yeah, sure. So here's July.
Yeah, you see what I mean? It was pretty bad in July.
This is weekly. I should really go to a daily. But you guys, you can look at it on your own. Here's March, July. Yep, we had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had about 5 red weekly candles in a row. Yeah, so that would definitely be a year that would be. I pointed out when I published that in the discussion group. Just remember, 5% of the time it didn't work out. So we will put out an alert based purely on the technicals of the chart. The fact that we might have a seasonal trade wind blowing at our back, that's fine. But we'll establish.
I mean, the reason it sticks in my memory is because you know that was a pretty brutal time, and actually there was a stock that had fallen from $100 down to 1, and I remember buying it around about 10th of July, and it went up to $10, so it was an incredible rebound. And
here's
after
the
that, it
daily
went out
on silver.
Yeah, the silver is really. I mean, it just looks really bullish now. This silver. It looks like it's getting ready. You know, they try to break it down a lot of times and haven't succeeded. So it's, I think it could end up going through the 20s very quickly. 1920. It's really sort of ready to bash away at that ceiling. It might take a few goes to get through it, but when it goes, I think it's going to be quite an event.
Right. I agree.
So,
I agree.
if you could look at the coffee,
Yeah, sure.
Casey.
Yeah, Kate, it seems like I always have a hard time getting a decent coffee chart here. Let's see what we can do. Coffee futures. Okay, let's just go continuous front month. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's not. Look, it's trying to make a reversal today.
Yeah.
It may still have another leg down, but it is up. If you put an intraday chart on, you'll see that it's kind of trying to turn up, and it doesn't look too bad on a weekly.
Now, a lot of coffee shops have been closed, and by coffee shops, I don't mean, Fred's coffee shop. I'm talking Starbucks. And you know what? I can only get a daily chart on this one, I think.
Yeah, don't worry. Look, I think the way I'd approach this, because the only thing that's really worrying about this coffee is if the market goes down, you're probably going to take the coffee down with it. But what you got to be watching for is a possible frost in Brazil.
Okay.
Brazil,
they got really hit hard with this virus.
You see the way we had a big rally in the fall, right? See that?
Uh-huh.
That usually is an indication you're going to get a big rally in the summer. So if we do, you could really see a big upside move. And if there is a frost in Brazil or in Latin America, remember there's Colombia as well. Actually, we haven't had limit up moves in coffee for decades, and it just might be one of those times again where this could happen. And given the demand for coffee around the world these days, it's quite possible that it could be a major supply disruption if something like that happens.
Gotcha.
Yep.
What else you want to
So, what else? The rest of these, well, just the ZM, the Zooms, and the ZS. If you want to take a look at those, they probably close to topping out here.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily yet. They haven't broken the trend, but one of these days.
As this thing just went public back. It went public April of last year.
Oh, you know what's going insane? Take a look at
it went public this year.
Yeah, take a look at TTD, Dwayne. That is just.
The trade desk.
We mentioned.
TTD.
We first mentioned that stock on this show at 40, and look at it today. It's like
Look at that. That's a 10 bagger, $408.
Yeah.
This is an advertising company.
Yeah, this is almost like a mini Google. This stock, because they're in the same game really, and they're obviously doing very well.
Yeah,
they're not a search engine, but they're in advertising.
Digital advertising. The trade desk. Media for humankind.
Yeah.
Okay. Transforming media for the benefit of humankind. By helping brands deliver a more insightful and relevant ad experience for consumers and setting a new standard for global reach, accuracy, and transparency. And by the way, guys, as it stands now, our app, when it comes out for the iPhone and Android, I think we're not going to burden you with any advertisements. So.
Yeah, by the way, the other stock we've talked about, and
that's where the thoughts are right now. It's subject to change, but anyway, go ahead. Yeah. What were you saying, John?
We talked about Docu as well. Docu, I think Docu is another kind of a Google type thing. Look at the way this thing's going. It's just it's amazing.
Yeah. For those that don't know, guys, this allows you to electronically sign a document. Okay, the stuff that you used to have to go to your attorney's office or your CPA's office or the bank, right? Now you can do this stuff from the comfort of your home, from the back of a taxi, while you're riding a bicycle. You can sign a document that is legally binding as if you were standing there in person.
You know what's amazing, Dwayne, is you know what this reminds me of? kind of reminds me of BlackBerry.
Oh,
The
wow,
first
BlackBerry,
smartphone,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
had this. In fact, look at the price. When the BlackBerry took off, it was like $60, and then it sort of broke up through 100. And then this is when I wrote that article. All these guys on Fast Money were saying short it, sell it, it's no good. And I said I put a $450 target on it. I'd almost put the same target on this thing, because after listening to the CEO the other day, I mean, they're only just, it's like BlackBerry. They're only penetration. They're, they
Most people
remember
never
there was
even
about
heard of it.
a million smartphones. How many smartphones? There's a billion
Right.
multiple billions of smartphones today. And this is going to become a mainstream thing. There's only a small percentage of the market penetration so far. And there's all kinds of things with government documents, and the government aren't using this yet, and many sectors of the economy are not using this yet. So there's all kinds of incredible upside for this company.
Yeah, no, I agree. Most normal people never even heard of this company. And in fact,
I mean, we've been talking about it since it was about 80 or so.
When people go to buy a house these days, or when they find out that they can just sign a document on their computer,
And by the way, the global thing is like, it's really only taken off here. It's not in any way really global yet. So that's another
boy,
big deal.
and that's a huge market yet to conquer. That's good.
Yeah.
Tremendous upside for this one.
Yeah. So, well, listen, have a great weekend.
John, you do the same. Take care of
stay
yourself.
safe.
Yeah, you stay safe too, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, all the best.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care. Okay, guys, let's go back to the S&P. Now, see, this is why in the alert channel I don't put out counter trend alerts, because this really looked like a contender, right? But I wanted to make sure I label that box counter trend, because you know my thoughts on counter trend trades. Not that they aren't legitimate trades, they are. You just don't have the same high probability nature of a trend trade. Okay, so last night's alert, if you didn't have a chance to grab your screenshot, go ahead. S&P, short 3046. From 3046, we dropped to 3006, which was rounded. That's 40 S&P points at $50 a point, $2,000 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, and by the right, I mean you start out in Sim, the blueprint gives you the green light to go live with 1, then you earn the right to trade 2, then you earn the right to trade 3. For the person that earned the right to trade 10, they put in their time, they did their due, that's a $20,000 move. Many people in many countries don't make $20,000 a year. There's places in this country, pockets for people. And that's a little below poverty level, right? But this happened over an hour, the bulk of it. Now, the worst thing you can do is rush out and put on a 10 contract trade, because you can. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. If you jump to the head of the line, if you start trading above your weight class, there's an incredibly high probability that you will say goodbye to all of your money. That simple. Okay. On the other hand, if you take the step-by-step approach, which is to become consistently profitable with any methodology or strategy before you trade it live, with our 2420 blueprint, which is given to all passport holders, the criteria is 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less. That gets you the green light to go live with 1. Then the goal is to increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you do that, then you get the green light to add contract number 2. And contract number 2 is underwritten by profits you earn in the market if you follow the blueprint. That's a big day. That's the first indication that all your hard work's paying off, because you just went to 2 contracts based off of profit you earned in the market. There'll be much dancing in the street, just don't drink too much, and don't drink and drive. Okay? So that's the story. Now, that was the Concierge Trade Alert. This morning in the pre-market strategy session, we had an ES alert to be short 3045, lined right up with that 3046. Okay. So you had the Concierge at 46, you had the 45 that I gave you in the strategy session, and the rest is Emini history. So you had 2 things pointing you to this trade, the CTA and the live alert that we put out. When I do the pre-market strategy session, I actually put out alerts during the strategy session. I walk through each one of the charts. I explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, why the entry's here, why the target's there, where the potential support or resistance is between the 2. Okay. All right. If you missed the one today, you can watch it in the strategy recap channel, or whatever it is we call it. I think we got a name for it. All right, on the Dow last night, where is it? Here we go. Last night on the Dow, the alert was to be short 25350. So it's going to be in here. Likewise, we had an logic alert that went out this morning to complement this. See, the Concierge is based on historical price action. Logic is based on current price action. And when those 2 point their bony finger at the same important price, important area, that's where you'll typically find your high probability, low risk trade opportunities. So from 25,350, so that was 350 to 450. Well, we'll call it 400 points at $5 a point, $2,000 per contract traded. Now you see how the S&P starting to consolidate, right? Dow consolidating. Russell, the alert last night for the Russell was 1391. All right, 1391. So that triggered right there. And we had a corresponding logic alert this morning. 1391 took us down to 1371. So 20 points, $50 a point, $1,000 per contract traded. And as you can see, Russell is consolidating as well, walking sideways. Okay? At this area that we laid out this morning in the strategy session as potential support. In Q, the alert last night was to be short 10015. Okay. So from 10015, well, down to just 85, okay? That's 30 points at $20 a point. That's $600 per contract traded. And if we do the big math, 10015 minus 98.69. That's 146 points. At $20 a point, that's almost $3,000 per contract traded over 2 hours, over 1 hour. These are 30-minute candles. Crude. Oh, crude pulling back. This could be a nice opportunity coming up here to go short. Concierge Trade Alert for crude. Consider being short. 38.30. Which is right there. 38.30. And the swing low so far, 37.80. So $500 per contract traded. And now it may be getting ready to do it all over again. 38.30. Right there. Okay. Gold. Gold. Last night's alert was to be short 1770. $1,500 per contract traded. That's what the market made available. Remember, we're just the guy shining the flashlight so you don't trip over other people's feet as you're trying to get to your seat in the theater of olden days. We're not the movie up on the big screen. The market does the heavy lifting. We just point out little areas where you can navigate between support and resistance, back to support, back to resistance, back to support. So we ran right up to the long trigger, 1784. Swing high here was 1784.2. Okay, this is not unusual. Just as we see these alerts trigger multiple times per session, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times per session. Yesterday was a perfect example of that. Sometimes price will march right up. Think Prairie Dog. My dear friend Mike Reed, who most of you in the audience know, rest his soul, he used the prairie dog analogy. If you know anything about prairie dogs, they live underground in a network of tunnels, and if they want to come out and do prairie dog stuff, they don't just come bouncing out of the hole. They stick their head up, they look around, make sure the coast is clear. They don't like what they see, then they burrow back down in that hole, and then they pop up somewhere else, right? This is a perfect prairie dog. Well, it would be more perfect if it was like that, right? Before I heard Mike Reed use prairie dog, I used to use the term up periscope, being a Navy man, right? Up periscope, get it? Okay. But I like prairie dog better, so I went with that. Okay. We did the S&P, we did the Dow, we did the Russell, we did the NQ, we did crude, we did gold. Ray says, Dwayne, are we supposed to put the CTAs on at night? Oh, Garrett was here and Garrett left. I didn't even see him. But nobody told me. I guess I'm the only one here. Sorry, Garrett. Why didn't he jingle my phone? Okay, anyway, we missed Garrett. He was here and gone. So, Ray, are you supposed to put the CTAs on at night? Well, this is what I recommend. When the CTAs come out, you go to your chart, and whatever the long trigger is, well, I'll show you on gold because we got both lines on the chart. When the alerts came out, and last night they came out at 6:10 p.m. Eastern, so that was right after Globex opened, 10 minutes after. It was during the life of this little doji right here. Okay, you go, you draw 2 lines in the sand. So actually I can back this up because this one triggered twice. That's going to go there, and that's going to go there. Okay, so we triggered, hit the zone, got back above the trigger, triggered again. Okay, important prices, important areas, almost always tested. So at night when the CTAs come in, go draw your short line, go draw the buy side, which in this case was right there. Now, everything in between those two lines is my way of explaining that is it's the market making up its mind. What's it ultimately going to do? Make a run to the downside or a run to the upside? Now, some days we get two-sided action, okay? Now, does that mean that the area between the lines is not tradable? No, it's tradable, okay? Right here, if we'd have got leg, retrace, if this had gotten above balloon climbing, right, then yeah, we would have had a long alert right up through here on logic, okay? The CTA is a static report issued at the beginning of the Globex session. It gives you guidance and direction for the entire session. Once we trade above that low number, you're only looking for short trades. Once we trade above the high number, you're only looking for long trades. Short number, short trades, long number, high number, long trades. So yes, Ray. Okie doke. Now, Sunday night will start week number 100. In his book, Trading in the Zone, Mark Douglas said that in order to properly evaluate any methodology, any strategy, even in indicators, that you must have a minimum sample size of 20 trades. As of right now, our sample size over the past 99 weeks. This morning I published alert number 4,350. That's 4,350 times that Dwayne came to the charts, came to the keyboard, did it like that, and sent out an alert. 20% of those, on average, are stopped out, based on not risking more than $300 per contract, per trade. This week, our busiest week yet, I do believe, if memory serves correct. And that's based on the market, okay? When the market is flat and quiet, not a lot of alerts. When the market is active the way it is, you see, these alerts are posted when opportunity presents itself. This week, 114 total alerts, 23 never triggered. Still waiting on 5. 86 actionable alerts, 9 stopped out. 10% of actionable alerts were stopped out. Now, on an average week, that would say 20%. Okay? All right. So, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're done with the gurus and a million different indicators and oscillators and confusion and all that noise, you know, all these solutions that are sold on the internet to solve the market problem, you know, they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't even exist. But do you understand that if I'm going to sell you a shovel, I need to first convince you that you need to dig a hole? Okay. That's probably not the greatest analogy, but it'll work on a Friday. Hi. So if you want to become a part of the family, call Valerie, 949-42-EMINI, or email support@cfrn.net. Just ask for a price sheet, a spec sheet. She'll send it to you. And she'll send you a link so that if you want to become a passport holder, so that you can be in the thick of things with us Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern when Globex opens, she'll be happy to oblige. Okay? But catch her before she takes off for the weekend. That way she can send you everything you need, and you'll actually be ready Sunday night when the market's open. Now, let me just say, we don't have any upsells. You don't click the link to make your payment, and then all of a sudden, but wait, there's more. We don't have any of that. And next week, we won't try to sell you another thing, and then the next week, another thing, and then the next week, another thing. We don't have any other things. Everything we have, you already get, and you get it for life. There's no monthly payments. We're done. When you pay us for your passport, you're done paying us, that's when we go to work with the class every morning, live training. You own the indicators for life. You have access to all the Telegram channels, access to the workshops, access to the unlimited one-on-one mentoring. It's all yours, one money. All right, let's go to our good word for the day. Now, we've been talking about the importance of reading the word. Talked about that for 2 days. Want to make it 3? Okay. 2 Timothy 3:17. So that the man of God may be adequate, equipped for every good work. See, every problem you encounter in this life, the solution is in the book. Now, it's going to be called by different, it's going to have a different name today. It's going to be presented in a different light. But if you reduce it to the lowest common denominator, it's the same thing. Daily Bible study. Oh, and that's another thing that's going to be in the app. You guys, some of you know, one of my favorite things on the internet, and I got a lot, daily audio Bible. There's this guy, Brian. Brian reads the Bible every day. He reads Old Testament, New Testament, Proverbs, and Psalms. In 1 year, you make it through the entire Bible. He can actually say those Old Testament names. He's a little quirky kind of a guy, but I love him, man, and he has been such an inspiration to me for over a decade. We had a browser extension a long time ago that included the daily audio Bible. And when we had our previous app, I think there was a link to the Daily Audio Bible, but I planned to put the Daily Audio Bible in our new app that Valerie and I are building. And again, he reads to you each day. It takes about 20-25 minutes. But then one of the parts that I really like is when he's done reading for the day, he plays the answering machine. I didn't know it's voicemail, but I like to think of it as an answering machine. He plays all the messages that people have left in the last 24 hours. And there's people all over the world that listen to this. You'll hear praise reports. You'll hear prayer requests. After about a week or two, you realize that you're part of a global community. And it's cool, man. It really is. So you betcha this is going to be front and center in the app, along with a lot of other cool stuff. Okay. Daily Bible study equips you for your God-given assignment in life. Paul writes in 2 Timothy 3:16, all scripture is inspired by God and profitable for teaching, reproof, correction, for training in righteousness, so that the man and woman of God may be adequate, equipped for every good work. So you say you want to go out and build God's kingdom? Okay. Well, he left instructions. According to Paul, all scripture is profitable. Profitable? What do you mean by profitable? Well, number one, for doctrine and teaching. It will structure your thinking, and that's crucial. Because if you're not thinking correctly, you're not living correctly. What you believe ultimately determines how you behave. Number two, for reproof. Okay? Now, reproof, correction, and training in righteousness. So we're on reproof now, number two. It will tell you when you're out of bounds, when you've crossed the line. Like an umpire who cries, out, or safe. The Bible lets you know what's sinful and what God wants for your life. Number three, for correction. Do you have a cupboard in the house where you store all the rubbish you can't find room for anywhere else? Maybe you call it a junk drawer. You cram it all in, and one day you forget, you just open the door willy-nilly. Or or pull the drawer out and, well, be careful you don't get hurt. And you say something like, oh, I better clean this up. The Bible is like that. It opens the cupboard doors in your life and provides a purifying dynamic. Number 4, training in righteousness. Having corrected us on the negatives, Paul gives us positive guidelines to follow as we go through life. For what reason? So that the man of God may be adequate, equipped for every good work. Have you ever wished that your life could be more effective for Jesus? That you were more of a kingdom builder? Well, if so, what have you done to prepare yourself? Studying the Word of God is a primary means of becoming an effective servant of God. Nothing can take its place. That's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell. Okay, the outro tune that you normally hear is having a fit over here. Not sure if it's going to play or not. Okay, the outro tune. Trading is risky. You can lose all of your money and then some. Always check with a licensed investment professional before making any investment decision. And if you come to CFRN, make sure you read all the CFTC required disclosures and CFRN disclaimers. 10-4. All right. We'll see if it plays.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.